little boy at school is laughing with his friends. He's pretty funny and he can make people laugh, often in a self-deprecating way. Makes fun of himself a lot. He's comfortable enough doing that. He's pretty fast and he likes playing games and sports. So he's pretty good at getting along with people outside with extracurricular activities. He's pretty good at drawing and he likes learning from other people who share his love of drawing comic book characters. Essentially, he has some pretty good friends at school. When he goes home, though, he's pretty much a loner. There are one or two kids in the neighborhood that he hangs out with outside of school and on the weekends, but other than that, there's not much there. When he's at school, he overhears and has conversations about other students who would be invited to each other's houses for sleepovers and weekends and parties and things of that nature, and he's never invited to those things. But before you feel sorry for him, he never invites anybody over to his place either. It's kind of a two-way street there. But why doesn't he invite people over to his place? Well, the story he makes up in his head, this little boy, is that at other people's places, people who live in big fancy houses in neighborhoods that have names, like Morningside or Village Green, those people have big old basements and the kids get all the space they want to themselves. They're left alone. They're down there playing Nintendo, drinking RC Cola, having a blast eating candy bars. How could he possibly invite somebody over to his place when he doesn't have a big old house with a basement and a Nintendo with RC Cola? He lives in an apartment and it's pretty crammed and there's a lot of people there. So he can't invite people over, at least he thinks he can't invite people over. What will people think? What will people think when they come over and find out that, the truth about him? What if the truth gets revealed? Well, it's that sort of shame that prevented this little boy from having more friends. He wrapped himself up in a shame bubble. And I know that boy really well because that boy is me. Find out more about money and shame right after this. Hey, it's Derek Hagan. I'm a financial therapist and financial psychology expert here with another Money Health presentation. We're going to talk about money and shame. Now, shame, if you can, ought to be avoided at all costs. Shame will absolutely crush you. Feeling ashamed for yourself, feeling a sense of shame, it is a big deal. It represents at the core there's something wrong with me. Now, stay out of the shame bubble. This is the shame bubble that I wrapped myself in. I could have had friends. Who knows what they would have thought? Heck, they may have been in better or worse, at least the same or worse situation than I was in. But I don't know. I wouldn't know because I never found out. I was too absorbed in being in my shame bubble. Now, shame is essentially an idea that I'm an awful person. This is a character judgment. I'm a bad person. So something bad will happen and I'll feel bad about it and then I'll hide. I don't want anybody to know. I don't want anybody to find out the truth about me. And because I'm hiding, I'm not being proactive, I'm not taking control of my life, something bad happens again. And then I feel bad again. So I hide again. And around and around and around I go. Now, sometimes guilt and shame are used interchangeably, but they are very different. Guilt is behavior focused. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am bad. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am bad. If you can find a way to reframe whatever you're experiencing or feeling as guilt, that would be better for you because guilt helps you rectify the situation. Guilt helps you do something. Shame almost counterintuitively makes it harder to do something. In other words, let's go hunting for guilt. So first of all, the first step is to ask yourself, is this actually shame? Are you actually ashamed? Because it might not be. You might have a small emotion vocabulary. The smaller your emotion vocabulary, this is nothing against you if this is the case. It just means that if I only know the four big ones, mad, glad, sad, and afraid, that's all I have to identify how I'm feeling, right? So for example, men historically have not been allowed to experience any bad emotion except for anger. So they're more likely to interpret other things as anger because that's all they really know. Now it's even worse. Some people don't even know those four. Some people just know I feel good or I feel awful. That's it. So whatever you want to call awful, I feel awful. Now if that's the case, if I feel awful, even if I know there's something that I wish was different, and I feel ashamed, okay, it's worth leaning into that and investigating that to find out if there's some actual guilt. Did I do something? Am I doing something? Did I fail to do something? Is a group that I'm a part of? Did they do something? Can you find the guilt in the situation that will keep you out of the shame spiral, out of the shame bubble? Oftentimes, shame is a result of automatic thoughts. And around money, these are called money scripts. So these automatic thoughts have a negativity bias built in, which means it's like pulling a chain. It's like dragging a big old ball and chain around, because these automatic thoughts, which are unconscious, skew our whole view of the world as negative. So challenging automatic thoughts helps you conquer those things. Am I suffering from catastrophic thinking, for example, or am I overgeneralizing? Am I jumping to conclusions that aren't actually legit? That's what challenging your thoughts kind of looks like. Right? So if it's me growing up and I knew what I know now, I could challenge my thought that people are going to make fun of me by simply saying, is that true? What evidence do I have that people are going to make fun of me? How do I know that they will make fun of me? How do I know they're not in the same situation I'm in, or in a worse situation that I'm in? You could even go further and say, what would be the worst that would happen if they made fun of me? Would that be totally awful? So challenging those automatic thoughts, though it sounds simple, is not always easy, but it is beneficial. Because then you get to get your head around what's in your control and what's out of your control. Now, what's out of your control are the cards that were dealt, your life situation. The cards in poker that came to you on the table, you don't get any control over that. You don't get to choose your parents. You don't get to choose most of your upbringing. What is in your control is what you can do going forward. What have you learned going forward? Again, if it's guilt, what can you do? Is there somebody you need to apologize to? Is there something you need to stop doing? There's ways for you to alleviate guilt. And if it's shame, challenge those automatic thoughts. That's within your control. Is this actually true, this picture that you're painting of yourself? And I bet you will find that you're overgeneralizing and jumping to the wrong conclusions. If you can stay out of shame, find some guilt. That will help you greatly. If you can't find any guilt and you're ashamed, try to lean into those thoughts, those automatic thoughts. Try to paint a more accurate picture.